Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are going to talk about the cardiomyopathies, as the name indicate that pathology is in the myocardium. It is the primary dysfunction of the myocardium. Other causes like hypertension, coronary artery disease or congenital heart diseases are not included in cardiomyopathies. So let's start with the hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, or simply hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It is a genetic disorder which is 50% familial, in which the family history is involved, or 50% sporadic, which is in which there is no family history. And it is an autosomal dominant disorder, and it is the most common type of cardiomyopathy. The main problem in this case is diastolic dysfunction, that heart is unable to relax properly because the left ventricle here in this case is stiffened, and there is a hypertrophy of the left ventricle, so heart is unable to relax properly. The second feature is dynamic outflow obstruction. This dynamic outflow obstruction is because of asymmetrical hypertrophy of interventricular septum. As you can see in this diagram, that there is a especially the upper one third part of the septum is asymmetrically hypertrophied, and it acts as a blockage or obstruction when the heart is in the systolic phase. When the heart contracts, this acts as a blockage, so there is no proper ejection of blood from left ventricle into the aorta. And the other features are mitral regurgitation or mitral valve regurgitation. There is anterior leaflet, there is a anterior leaflet touches this hypertrophied septum, so this valve becomes incompetent. So mitral regurgitation, that is backward flow of the blood from the left ventricle into the left atrium and from the left atrium into the pulmonary veins, occurs because of this incompetent mitral valve, especially during the systolic phase of the cardiac cycle. And the other important feature is the heart is hypercontractile, that heart rate is increased in this case. So these are the general characteristics of hypertrophic cardiomyopathies. The important features are hypertrophied, thickened, stiffened left ventricle, and asymmetrical hypertrophy of the septum. Now come to the pathogenesis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. The most important pathology is mutation in the beta myosin heavy chain. This is the myosin. This is the diagram of sarcomere, which is the contractile unit of the muscle. In this case, as you can see here, this is the myosin filament and these are actin filament. When there is a mutation in the beta myosin heavy chain, there is a defective force generation. The defective force generation leads to the myocytes proliferation. Due to myocytes proliferation, the hypertrophy of the left ventricle and asymmetrical hypertrophy of the septum occurs. So this is the most common mutation which leads to left ventricle and aseptal and the asymmetrical septal hypertrophy. The other very rare mutations are troponin mutations and myosin binding protein C mutations. Now come to the clinical features of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. The symptoms include exertional dyspnea. The patient feels difficulty in breathing on exertion, especially during the heavy strenuous exercise. This is because of number one reason is mitral regurgitation, that is backward flow into the pulmonary veins. So there is a lungs congestion which causes this dyspnea. And the other feature is obstruction to the outflow obstruction, dynamic outflow obstruction, so decreased cardiac output also causes exertional dyspnea. The other clinical feature or the symptom is chest pain or angina because of the ischemia. When there is asymmetrical hypertrophy or asymmetrical or dynamic obstruction to the outflow of the blood from left ventricle into the aorta, it also decreases the blood supply to the coronary arteries as well. So decreased blood supply to the heart itself and increased demand of oxygen of the thickened or stiffened or hypertrophied left ventricle induces this angina or the chest pain. The other features are syncope. This syncope is because of decreased perfusion to the decreased blood supply to the brain because of the arrhythmias occurs in these patients as well. The other features are palpitations, that is unpleasant sensation of patients on apex b, as we have discussed previously that the heart is hypercontractile in these patients. And arrhythmias occurs because the atrial is contracting against the stiffened ventricle, so atrial fibrillation or ventricular arrhythmias are common in these patients. And this due to this arrhythmias, syncope or decreased perfusion to the brain occurs. The when there is a diastolic dysfunction for a prolonged time, that is for a chronic or long term, or when there is a chronic or long term diastolic dysfunction, it may ends up with the cardiac failure, and it is the most common cause of sudden death of young athletes. It is because of arrhythmias. Sometimes the patient may be asymptomatic. So these all are the symptoms of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. Now come to the signs. S4 sound. This, as we know, that this S4 sound is because when the atria contracts against the stiffened hypertrophied ventricle, S4 sound is produced, and the pulse is jerky because of the obstruction. When the blood flows, when there is a ejection from left ventricle into the aorta, and then sudden blockage, and then due to the sudden blockage, this jerky pulse is produced. And the other features are that the carotid pulse is bisphareous, biphasic, or double apical pulse with two upstrokes because of the dynamic obstruction in the outflow. That is, from the left ventricle, when the blood is ejected into the aorta, there is a dynamic obstruction. The important feature here is ejection systolic murmur. During previously that during the systolic phase, when the heart contracts, the anterior leaflet of the mitral valve touches the asymmetrical hypertrophy of the septum and causes the blockage. Due to this blockage, a murmur is produced which is called ejection systolic murmurs. It occurs during the systolic phase. The intensity of this murmur decreases with the squatting or lying down or with the legs raised because of the increased end diastolic volume. In these conditions, when there is increased end diastolic volume, there are less chances of the attachment of this anterior leaflet with this obstruction. So in increased end diastolic volume, so decreases the intensity of this murmur. But when there is reduced end diastolic volume, is like in the Valsalva maneuver or in the standing position, there is reduced end diastolic volume. Due to reduced end diastolic volume, there are more chances of the attachment of this anterior leaflet of the mitral valve with this hypertrophied septum. So there is increased intensity in these cases with decreased end diastolic volume. There is also a pain systolic murmur, that throughout the systole there is murmur or abnormal heart sound. This abnormal pain systolic murmur is because of the mitral regurgitation, as we have discussed previously. Now come to the investigations of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. The gold standard investigation is echocardiogram. It is nothing but the ultrasound of the heart, and the findings of the echocardiogram includes the hypertrophy of the left ventricle, and there is a dynamic obstruction in the pathway of the there is the dynamic outflow obstruction, and also there is an anterior leaflet, a dynamic motion of the anterior leaflet of the mitral valve. So these are the findings in the echocardiogram. Remember, the echo is the most important or the investigation of choice in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Other non-specific investigation is ECG, electrocardiogram, which shows the left ventricular hypertrophic changes and also ST depression and T wave inversion because of ischemia. Now come to the management of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. If the patient is asymptomatic, then no need to give the treatment, and especially avoid the heavy or strenuous exercises in all the patients. The first line management or first line drugs are beta blockers like carvedilol, bisoprolol, and metoprolol. These beta blockers improves the ejection fraction by decreasing the heart rate, and also it basically increases the filling time of the ventricles by relaxing the heart, and also decreases the oxygen consumption of the heart and improves the ejection fraction. So these are the first line agents in the management of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. If beta blockers are not working properly, then the alternative options are calcium channel blockers like diltiazem, verapamil, and also amlodipine, etc. These drugs have also a same action as that of the beta blockers. These are alternative options. And if beta blockers are not working properly, the other option is diisopyramide. This is basically first class antiarrhythmic drug. But the contraindicated drugs includes digoxin, vasodilators, and diuretics. All these drugs basically decreases the end diastolic volume. Due to reduced end diastolic volume, there is increased intensity of the murmur, that is ejection systolic murmur, as we have discussed previously. So these drugs are contraindicated in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. In order to treat the syncope, there is implantation of cardiac defibrillator. As we have discussed the implantable cardiac defibrillator in the congestive cardiac failure in detail, but this is implanted to check the irregular heartbeat and prevent the sudden cardiac death. The indications for the implantable cardiac defibrillator includes if the patient has facing the recurrent syncope attacks, and there is a family history of sudden cardiac death, and the patient develops ventricular arrhythmias or atrial fibrillation or other arrhythmias in the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy cases, and there is a thickened or stiffened left ventricle. So these are the indications of using the implantable cardiac defibrillator. If the if medical management is not working properly, then use the other techniques like alcohol septal ablation, in which through the catheter the alcohol is inserted over the hypertrophied septum, and it damages the myocardium over the septum. As a result, it relieves the obstruction in the pathway. It is less invasive procedure. The other procedures include myomectomy, as the name indicate, that removal of the myocardium. In this technique, it is an invasive procedure. In this technique, a muscle or myocardium is removed, and hence the obstruction in the pathway is relieved, and it is used in severe cases of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. The other very rare techniques include mitral valve replacement, and the last option is transplant. So this was all about the hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. Thank you so much for watching this video.